this video, this video is going to be putting the mouthpiece and barrel and reed together. So first thing I'm going to do is going to grab my mouthpiece, and then I'm going to grab my barrel. And if you have cork grease, and hopefully we'll go over this in class some point soon when I can get cork grease, you're just going to take a very thin layer on your finger and you're just going to place it around the cork. It's very, very thin, but that's going to help allow the connection to happen. And so once I have that, I'm going to take the end of my cork and the bottom of my barrel, the short part, and I'm going to twist. And make sure you are twisting. You don't want to just pull out or push in. It is a twist. So again, twist, 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 just to demonstrate. Twist, 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 back on. Okay. And there's no specific part. This is, as long as you have the front of the mouthpiece, you're good to go. Okay, so I'm going to put that down. The next part I'm going to do is I'm going to take my reed. I'm going to make sure I'm soaking it. And someone asked earlier in class, a good question, does it matter which way I stick it? Technically, no, but you do want to make sure that I usually put the flat part facing down. That's what's going to be facing the reed. And if it's a new reed, about a minute, you're just putting it in your mouth and you're wetting it. Now, be careful with the reeds. We talked about this. The tip is extremely thin and fragile. You can even see the color difference right here. So you don't want to do anything to break the tip of the reed. It will cause cracks, and that happens all with beginners. That does affect the sound. That does affect squeaking, which is also something we learned today in class. So be very, very careful not to touch the tip of the reed. If you're going to handle it, you're going to go to this thicker part down here and just kind of move it around that way. Okay, so just make sure it's nice and soaked. And you're going to keep doing this while I keep assembling the clarinet. Is typically what happens. And the next part, I have my mouthpiece and barrel together. I'm going to add the ligature. Now, my ligature is different from yours because this part is going to be facing forward to me. For you guys, your screws are facing forward. So I'm going to demonstrate with my correct ligature, but I unscrew the ligature. I'm going to make sure it's nice and centered right here. You can see the flat part, the center part is centered up here. Then I'm going to take my reed very carefully, grabbing it from here. The flat side is what's going to touch the flat side of the reed. So this flat part is going to line up right there. Now I'm going to slightly lift my ligature and I'm going to place it inside. And I'm using, again, the side of the reeds to make sure that there's alignment there. Now what I'm aiming for is for a sliver of black to show from the mouthpiece. And I'm making sure that this is all nice and secure. See how this is centered on the reed? I can see a little bit of black. And then once I'm good with that, I'm going to tighten it. And again, once I've tightened it, I can adjust it. And how I adjust it is I push the reed, again, from the sides right here, or I can push it up. And I'm just making a sliver of black, a small opening. You don't want to put the reed too high. See, that's too much. You can even see that color change. You don't want too low. You don't want to see too much black. It's going to be just a sliver. And it takes time to get that perfect balance. Once you feel like that is all good to go, then you're going to tighten your screws. And that is my mouthpiece and barrel. So that is the assembly part of it. And we've practiced that a couple of times. Remember that the last thing to go in is the reed, and you do not want to touch the tip. Now, how do we take it out? So I'm going to unscrew, loosen it. I'm going to take the reed off first. I'm placing my finger here, putting it in my mouth, letting it soak so it doesn't touch anything, but I'm going to keep talking. Then I take the ligature off, and then I do the mouthpiece and barrel, twist, twist. Now, one thing I do want to caution, because they show it in some videos that I posted, and I'm highly against this. Something that they do, they teach, is putting the reed first, the flat side of the reed to this, to the mouthpiece, and then putting the ligature on top of it. Now, the reason I'm against that is because when I place my ligature on top, I can crack that reed. You can crack the tip of it, which is what I see very often. Also, it's actually pretty hard to keep this aligned. It kind of moves around easier because our thumb's not staying still. So again, I highly recommend you are putting your ligature on first and then slide it in, create that opening. And that's going to take some practice. It's not going to happen right away, but getting in there and sliding it in and practicing that alignment. So that is mouthpiece and barrel with the ligature and the reed. And we will keep practicing this in class. It takes a long time to get everything perfect, because if it's not aligned correctly, then it won't make a sound. So it's going to be really important. All right, that is this video. The next video will be baby clarinet.